Hello people of all kinds, Dylan from Metora Cliffs here, and today we're going to be doing something I have not done in quite a while, which is an album review. The album in question, of course, being the new Periphery album, this time titled Hail Stan, which is an amazing name. Periphery are honestly one of my top favourite bands. I take a lot of influence from them in my own music, and honestly I can't think of a band that I listen to as often as Periphery. Now before I start the actual review, I want to quickly just go over what my expectations for this album were, because I think that's quite important in kind of how I perceived this album at first and how it's kind of progressed from that. What I was really hoping for with this new Periphery album was that it would be kind of the best parts of every previous Periphery album mixed into one kind of perfect album, obviously. I don't think Periphery has ever made a bad album, but I do think every Periphery album has been flawed in some way. To me, what the perfect Periphery album would kind of be the high songwriting qualities of Alpha and Omega and P3 mixed with kind of the cohesion and just overall synergy of the first two albums to kind of get this ultimate Periphery masterpiece. So, how does the new album compare to these expectations? Well, let's find out. The album opens up on an absolute monolith of a track with Reptile, a 16-minute long song, which I was honestly kind of skeptical about at first, because, I mean, Periphery have already made a 15-minute long song on their first album, Race Car, of course. And I'm going to be honest, I wasn't even the biggest fan of Race Car until more recently when I've listened to it. I think my biggest problem with that track, though, was just that it was at the end of this super long album that was almost an hour in by the time you even got to that track anyway. But with this new song, Reptile, we're actually starting off the album with a 16-minute long song. So that means it's fresh out the gates and it packs a punch, gets your attention straight away. But not to mention, Periphery have also expanded their sound so much more since their first album, so this song really has a lot more than what they had back then. The opening string section in this song sounds like something out of the Mario Galaxy soundtrack, which is a big compliment, by the way, because that's an amazing soundtrack, and I generally love video game music anyway, and that's kind of what I love about Periphery, especially because they're kind of like video game metal theory-wise, and I think Reptile really does justify its 16-minute long runtime by the end of the song. Lots of great instrumentation, chord progressions, and of course some really great charismatic vocals from Spencer Sotelo, who is a fucking god at what he does. Lyrically, the song is also quite interesting as it seems to be telling a story. I'm not sure exactly what it's about, but from reading the lyrics I'm kind of getting this like these images of like politicians and lizards or some shit. I don't know. It's kind of funny, really over the top, but it's fucking brilliant and epic the way it's handled. There's even some kind of funny lyrics in there, like at the start of the song where Spencer sings, "There must be something in the water," and then you hear a whisper that says, "Except fluoride and shit." Then there's the first single that was released from the album, which is Blood Eagle, of course. A super heavy song that is just fucking brutal, both in terms of the riffs and also, you know, lyrically. Because a Blood Eagle is actually a method of Viking torture where they open up the ribcage and, you know, make you look like a bloody eagle. I will admit, I think the song does run on a little bit longer than it needs to. That's not me having a short attention span or anything. I mean, I just listened to a 16-minute track before that. It's just that I think there's a lot of sections that kind of repeat, and the sections that repeat aren't really the sections of the song that I want to repeat, because the sections of the song that I want to repeat are more kind of the melodic, high Spencer singing notes and stuff. Whereas the bits that repeat are just kind of these riffs that just kind of get carried on a bit longer than they need to, in my opinion. But I can't talk about the song without mentioning the absolutely fucking insane guitar solo. I mean, usually you might just want to call this fret wanking, but because of the sense of chaos that the song has, it just fits perfectly. Church Burner isn't a song I initially cared for too much. It just kind of felt like this short, heavy filler song. But after listening to it more times, I realized just how batshit crazy the song is and how well it just kind of conveys this sense of chaos. There's some really crazy technical drum patterns and stuff in this song, like even more weird and technical than Periphery are usually known for. And the song is also quite short, so it doesn't overstay its welcome, which I like. And then I also love the way this song transitions right into Garden of the Bones, which is one of my personal favourite songs on the album. Was super hyped after hearing this as the second single released for the album. Because it's honestly the side of Periphery that I love most. It's that melodic, slightly more chill side, but still very heavy. The chord progressions in this song, I mean, I love the Dorian scale, so this is just right up my alley, really. The vocal performance, the drumming, the guitar playing, all excellent, and the general sense of epicness and grandioseness that this song conveys is just perfect. And then that song's followed by another favourite of this album of mine, which is It's Only Smiles. I really love it when Periphery makes songs in the more major key, because there's just something so badass about songs that are both kind of happy and uplifting while being like really fucking heavy as well. Funnily enough though, the song seems to be about kind of smiling through times where you're kind of just faking it and just trying to get through these hard times. So it is quite ironic that this song just puts such a big smile on my face when I hear it. There's just something so great about such a complex, technical, progressive, pop-punk sounding song. Fully Ghost is a song that I don't think is weaker, it's just not one of the highlights for me. I mean, there's some cool sections, like there's a bit where a piano comes in. Spencer lets off some really menacing growls at the start of the song, which I really love. It's still a welcome addition to the album though, and then that's followed up by Crush, which is probably the weirdest song on the album. Crush comes in with this electronic 808 drum beat thing, but you can still tell it's played by Matt Haplin, so it's kind of cool in that sense. I do actually really like the way the intro sounds and just this whole electronic vibe that they have in this song. However, I do think it overstays its welcome a bit. There's certain points in the song where the song just kind of feels like it wants to explode, and it kind of does, but the thing is, the electronic snare, that stays there for the entire song, and it just kind of sounds out of place in some bits. Like it just kind of needs to explode with guitars and shit, with a proper snare drum to kind of give it that variation and kind of contextualize it a bit better in with the rest of the album, if you know what I mean. However, we do get another Super Mario Galaxy-esque kind of crazy string section at the end of the song, which is amazing. I've always appreciated Periphery's interludes, and this is maybe one of the best so far. And then the album closes off with two absolute mammoth songs. First we have Sentient Glow, which is just full of amazing riffs, some of the best on the album in my opinion. Especially when they kind of go into this kind of Phrygian feel during the, I guess it's the chorus. And I think both of these songs balance heaviness with cleans very nicely, but both in different ways. Sentient Glow being more kind of fast-paced and heavy, but still melodic, while the final track, Satellites, is more of a slow song that takes its time over its 9-minute runtime. There's genuinely some really emotional moments on both of these tracks. Lyrically, I'm not entirely sure what these songs are about, but the thing that I'm kind of getting from it is kind of where humanity's at the moment, whether it be climate change or just kind of the general kind of fear of what's to come in the future. With those things being something that's been on my mind quite a bit recently actually, these songs really do actually resonate quite a lot lyrically, at least from what I'm taking from them. I was very caught off guard when the song Satellites actually kicks in kind of halfway through the song into the kind of more heavy section, because it just kind of come out of nowhere, and before that I'd kind of expected it to be like a Loon Part 2. But it's actually more kind of like Loon meets, you know, the more heavy side. It's kind of like a two-part song in that way. Like I said, caught me off guard at first, but it's actually really grown on me. And honestly, the high notes that Spencer hits around kind of the 5-minute mark of this song, honestly one of his best vocal performances yet. Which is, you know, kind of crazy considering he's done so many amazing vocal performances already. The dude hits like G5s in this song, which is crazy. That's like a whole octave above what I can sing. Satellites! So yeah, definitely a very strong close to the album. Oh, and let's not forget the very last second of the album as well. Suck my balls. So how does this album hold up in terms of the other albums, and how does it hold up against my own expectations that I talked about at the start of the video? You can probably tell I'm generally quite positive on this album. However, I don't think this is quite the perfect Periphery album that I was hoping for. Personally, I do think Periphery 3 just had more tracks that I generally enjoyed across the board. Not to mention that album kind of showed off more of the side of Periphery that I just personally like more, which is just a personal thing of course. Whereas this album is a lot more dark and heavy, as the band themselves have kind of said. I do think the album flows very nicely from track to track for the most part. At least I think it flows better than P3 did, which was a bit incoherent in places. Like I said though, some of the songs dragged on a little bit longer than they needed to, and I guess it's just personally, I didn't feel like there was as many standout moments. But overall, a very nice addition to the Periphery catalogue, I guess. I'd probably give it like a strong 7 out of 10 personally. But let me know what you thought of the new album by Periphery. Hail Stan, Periphery 4 of course. And if you enjoyed the video, please subscribe, leave a like. Maybe check out my own music if you like Periphery. It's not exactly the same, but it's kind of got those video game inspiration and vibes, you know? And feel free to suggest things that I should review next. And with that, I bid you farewell. Ta-ta.